Alright, so we're coming over the top of the three-stage climb, or the camel climb as some people like to call it, and just coming into this downhill, so everyone is really pinned. And so we sort of come into it, take a big deep breath, and sort of these sort of quick corners here, really just trying to get centered and ready for the couple really tough sections that are coming up. So the first obstacle that we come into is sort of a really steep drop that most people are taking an inside line on down a rock face right here, and then onto a sort of bridge and raised up sort of obstacle to avoid some water accumulation. And then that sends you right down another boardwalk that then is into two really tough root overs that are sort of sprint into them, ready position to try and go as straight as you can. And then continue on, and it's a really tough one to maintain momentum and sort of put forth those little bursts of power. A couple more boardwalks, and then we're sort of sprinting towards the last little popper climb that is also pretty technical, lots of little roots and a nice little rock face that we've been trying to use to get traction to get up it. I do a semi not good job on it for this particular lap. Then a nice little flat section here, again some deep breaths to get ready as we get into sort of the more serious sort of downhilling and whatnot that's from the traditional course. This is a lot of the stuff that hasn't been touched a lot. So we're coming along here getting ready. There's sort of two rock drop-offs. So that's our first one. It's a little crazy. There's sort of a couple rocks on the landing, and then smooth along this nice big rock face. Some people go to the right there, but a lot of the guys and many of the girls will go to the left and just try and do that drop. And then we're into this sort of mucky stuff that's just really, really bumpy, as you can see. It's easy to get off track and thrown around. So it's sort of that balance between sort of helping the bike over stuff and keeping the bike moving with some pedaling. Into sort of a weird little rock thing that's been here for, I think it's probably been here for over 10 years now. That one there. And it's sort of an interesting one, a couple rocks on it that sort of step up, but then you have to get around one of them sort of on a corner. So a couple cool little inside lines down rock face, nice and steep, a couple sketchy little berms. This one, I think we're just coming into it, not quite, but a couple sort of just straight lines there. It's sort of challenges to stay going straight and not turning for every little rock. Again, just pummeling down. This is sort of the wetter stuff in past years, and they've done a bunch of work with the gravel. So here it's not too bad. You sort of can flow through a bunch of the corners and stuff with pretty good speed. Not a lot of big rocks like you just saw us go through, so it's a little nicer. And then that, you start going really fast, and then it dumps you really hard into a bunch of wetter rocks and stuff that hasn't been worked on as much. Again, sort of just going straight, try not to hit trees. Boardwalk, and then again you'll see this throw you into a bunch of mud, try and avoid other riders. Then another sort of wet rock face here, going to the left, which is always a little dicey, especially when it gets wet, to stay on line. And then one of the hardest rock gardens here, you can see it's nuts how bumpy this is, and to stay on line takes a lot of upper body strength. And come lap 4 or 5, it's really hard. Another obstacle that sort of rock up with a right-hander into a really sketchy downhill. So this section here has been in for many years. You can see I'm talking to a lady here whose brakes apparently have stopped working, so I'm demonstrating that mine apparently do. So we'll give her a chance to get out of the way here, which seems really sketchy, but she's going to get down there safe and sound. We'll get by. Continue on. So that obstacle has been in there again probably for 10 years, and it's a crazy one because you sort of go over a bunch of sketchy rocks, up and over, down the S bridge, down into a bunch of crazy rocks, back onto a bridge, and then spills you out onto these couple of berms that are a little tough to ride, but certainly some of the people that really have some mad skills are ripping these pretty hard and really using those berms to their advantage to gain some speed. Definitely this bottom part is, you'll see if people can make it through some of that tech stuff at the top, but you can see gaps opening up as the fatigue and stuff sets in, and these higher speed sort of corners, the people that can really rip them, can really gain some time. And that brings you into sort of this bottom section here where it's mostly crushed gravel, but you can see there's, a couple ups here. I'm pedaling a lot more. So again, the people who are starting to fade or have overextended themselves on that first 3-stage climb that we started coming over the top of, it's really tough. to get back on the gas and then extend it into the next lap. So this is sort of where you see a lot of the breaks happening if they didn't happen, because of a crash on the downhill. So some really fun berms here. This is one of my favorite parts just because it's nice and smooth, and you can sort of flick things around, and a couple little airs can be grabbed if you so choose. There's a little bit of one there, and yeah, nice couple S-bends here, and this will spill you right out onto the golf cart track, which again has been on the course for as long as I can remember, and it's just sort of a nice painful way to get back to the village.